Hello, my name's Evan Hayward. We need to ask ourselves if we deserve a dignified, stable, and happy life. And if so, why does the state seem to make it difficult to achieve those goals? Today, I'm going to talk to you about the high cost of education, highlight some states, including our own, that are working to make it more affordable. I'm currently trying to go back to school as an adult to better my future, and I want generations that come after me to have an easier time than I did. The task is daunting and overwhelming, but one of the healthiest ways to combat this is and regain a sense of control is to invest and nurture our individual futures. Without taking care of ourselves, we can't help each other. I'm reminded of the instructions on an airline. First, place the oxygen mask on yourself so that you can then help other people. So, today we'll be talking about how education has skyrocketed and how this has a detrimental effect on us and society. Tennessee led the charge for education reform, and Massachusetts followed their lead. There are different models to provide free education. We need to understand them and then advocate that our elected officials fight to implement them. Now, let's dive into my first point. We all agree the cost is too high, but why is it still the best path to a better future? And what's at risk if we don't get an education? So, how does it affect you? Well, in 1963, public institutions' yearly total cost was around $7,000, but by 2021, it was $21,000. Private colleges are even worse, jumping from around $15,000 to over $46,000 today. If you're paid minimum wage in Massachusetts, you're only making $31,000 a year. And once you subtract rent, food, travel, other expenses, there's nothing left for investing in education. The prospect of higher wages for those with a high school diploma is 19% higher than those who haven't attained one. For those with a college degree, the expected boost in wages is 90% higher than those without an education. A study in 2009 confirmed that lower wages caused higher cortisol levels, which increases lifelong health issues. Another problem our country has is not free healthcare. So, to reduce our stress and ensure our own health, we need to be financially stable, and education can provide that for us. Subsequently, these individual problems snowball into problems for our entire society. Northeastern University estimates that a person with $30,000 in student debt is 11% less likely to start a business. This is not good for the economy, and it's not good for our country. The EDI data has shown that students are 36% less likely to purchase real estate when they have student loan debt. One of the best ways we can protect our own retirement and create generational wealth for our children is to purchase property and get a return on that investment later in life. People in debt or making low wages from lack of education cannot create emergency funds to weather life storms. Homelessness increased 12% last year. Without a personal safety net, everything we work for could be in jeopardy. So now that I've scared you all with a bunch of bad news, let's back up from the edge of the cliff and talk about how we can change our future. So, some states are leading the charge to reform our system. Tennessee was the first to support its citizens' education. As early as 2004, Tennessee implemented the Hope Scholarship, which was funded by taxing the state lottery system. This was a merit-based system that gave tuition to students that showed a seriousness towards bettering their future. In 2014, Tennessee became the first state to offer free tuition to its students through a program called the Tennessee Promise. This has been a model for all states in the country. This program covers any cost not provided by financial aid or state grants if a student maintains a GPA of 2.0. In the first year of the Tennessee Promise, enrollment in the state's community colleges increased by around 24%, and 20% in their colleges of applied technology. Another huge benefit to this program was that racial equality began to increase in higher education. The racial composition of students at the state's community college also shifted after the promise was put in place. The percentage of black students increased from 14 to 19%, and Hispanic students from 4 to 5%. Following Tennessee's success, other states followed suit, including our own. So, what did Massachusetts reform look like? First, there was Mass Reconnect, a program a lot of us here have taken advantage of. This program is meant to help adult learners who have no higher education. If you're over 25 and take at least 6 credits, the state pays for your tuition. As we know, it's hard to juggle life's responsibilities, and this eases that financial burden. There's also the Commonwealth Commitment Program, launched in 2017. Students who enroll in the program commit to attending a community college for the first 2 years of study and then transfer to a public university for the last 2 years. And it guarantees a reduced tuition rate in both phases of 50%. When students transfer to a public university, they continue to receive reduced tuition for their junior and senior years. A total of 8,411 students aged 25 and older enrolled in community college in the first year of Mass Reconnect, which was nearly a 45% increase from the previous year. So despite these first steps, we need to do more. What is the intersection between the most effective model for reducing cost that also has the most support? That data point is where we will have the best chance to change the system. The first of those approaches is the first dollar approach. That became effective July 1st, 2022 in New Mexico. This generous program guarantees that students receive a fully funded free tuition. What's so great about this is that it's realistic about the true cost of education. Students are still able to apply for federal grants to cover all the other expenses that go along with going to college. This is so important because too many students do not complete degrees because of all the unaddressed financial burdens. This increases the likelihood that recipients will stay in school and have more time to focus on their studies. According to the Campaign for Free College Tuition, states that have implemented this first dollar approach have seen a 23% increase in enrollment. That's good for everybody. So this approach has proven benefits, but there are more aspects to free tuition to consider, especially when considering public support and political implications. And that's where the merit-based approach comes in. The merit-based approach garners the most support across various demographics and has the best chance for popular support. Some state programs, such as the Oregon Promise, have merit components. Both the Oregon Promise, the Rhode Island Promise, for example, require a 2.5 high school grade point average. Statistics can have a strange and sometimes mysterious results, since they only study a specific outcome of a much bigger ecosystem. But one of these fascinating statistics is that the merit-based approach increased female enrollment to colleges by a staggering 42%. I personally see education as a human right and believe our nation should provide to everyone despite academic performance, but we need to be realistic about moving towards this goal. A quote from the Campaign for Free College Tuition goes like this: "The high level of bipartisan support for free college tuition programs being provided by the state is partially contingent upon the program being described as being for those who are academically qualified. Without such a requirement, Republican support in particular drops off quite a bit. And without unilateral support from various different political affiliations, we're not going to be able to change this system." So we know the risks of not having an education, what some states have done, and what models that we should advocate for. What we've learned is that the true cost of higher education will be played out in our personal lives and society. College is simply too expensive. There's various ways states have supported their citizens' educational journey and programs that we can advocate for. Going over what we've learned today, we know that without a degree, we will make less money and be more stressed and less healthy. Our society won't grow economically, and the burden will increase when people are unable to afford homes and create wealth and start businesses. Thankfully, Tennessee made the first steps in our nation towards providing free tuition, and Massachusetts has implemented systems that helps our students as well. This, however, is not enough. The goal needs to be to complete free education for everyone, which requires political willpower. The most publicly supported first steps towards this are a first dollar approach and a merit-based approach. We all deserve to have financial stability and a dignified life. Unfortunately, we live in a country where you have to fight for those rights. We need to be engaged, proactive towards our own futures, and leave a better path for the next generation than we had ourselves. Americans seem to have trouble advocating for themselves. But never forget that we all deserve peace and happiness, and the state's function should be to improve our lives equally. Thank you for listening to this speech. I hope it informed you about the importance of the crisis, how we're tackling it on the state level, and how we can improve it even more. I'll now take some questions. Thank you.